Hey guys, it's Kara from iStampin.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this very simple friendship card using Free as a Bird. That's one of the really pretty new stamp sets in our annual catalog. Just using our pretty label punch and some of the new 6x6 designer series paper. It's really easy and I think you're going to like the card. I did a little bit of stamping on the inside and then I stamped the same image just here on the envelope flap. So I'll show you how to do that. So let's go over the supplies that you'll need and then we'll get started. So the first thing that you'll need is Free as a Bird stamp set. This is our new cling mount. So you can find that in the annual catalog. You're also going to need the rectangle stitched dies on the designer series paper. Hopefully you can see that little stitched detail, but I did use the dies for that. The cardstock, I'm using one of our new in colors. This is called Seaside Spray, and this card is a regular A2 size card, so this measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored this at 4 1/4. And I'm also going to be using the coordinating Seaside Spray Classic ink. To punch out the label, I'm using the Pretty Label Punch. Then the other cardstocks you'll need is just a piece of Whisper White. I have another piece of Seaside Spray to punch out. And then this is a piece of Whisper White that measures 4 by 5 1/4. This is what we're going to use on the inside of the card. And then I've already die cut the designer series paper. This is Petal Pink, and I used the largest stitched die. So because this is an odd shape, what I'm going to do is, if you can see here, I layered this behind a piece of Whisper White cardstock. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to adhere this on there, and then I'm just going to manually cut the other two sides. It was just such an odd, this is such an odd dimension that to me it was easier just to do that, a lot simpler. And then finally, to tie off the card, just to, no pun intended, just to give it some pretty detail, this is the Petal Pink 5/8 inch organdy striped ribbon. Really, really pretty. This is one of the new ribbons in the catalog and just looks gorgeous. The other ink that you'll need is Memento Tuxedo black ink, and other than I like to use a combination of snail, Stampin' Dimensionals, and foam adhesive strips. If you want to use whichever adhesive you like, that is up to you. All right, so I've already cut and pre-scored the cardstock. So like I said, when it's closed, this is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And we can go ahead and do our stamping. So for the inside of the card, and I'm just going to grab a scratch piece of paper because I'm going to be stamping off and I want to keep my workspace as clean as possible. I decided to use this little leaf image. Kind of mimics what we see on that large stamp that I'm going to use in just a second. I'm inking this up in Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm just going to stamp this a couple of times, having it come off the edge. So I stamped it on the bottom right, and then I'm going to do it again on the top left. Very, very easy, and like I said, just kind of gives the inside of your card some fun details so that you can write your message right there. And then let's go ahead and stamp our birds. So again, like I said, this is the largest rectangle die. This is the Subtles designer series paper. I'm using the Pretty Argyle pattern. Doing this technique, you want to make sure that you have a really subtle background so that the pattern doesn't overpower the stamp that you are choosing to stamp on the front of it. This is a really fun technique, very easy and simple, especially if you want to make something quick and don't want to take the time to color in the birds. So just stamping that high enough and a little bit off to the left. So that's what that looks like. And then the only other thing we need to do is just to stamp our sentiment, and we can start putting this card together. Now I don't need this scratch piece anymore. Seaside Spray is a beautiful color, and it's almost on the verge of periwinkle. Periwinkle, may have a little bit more purple to it, but this is just absolutely gorgeous. I love this color. Really, I wasn't able to go to On Stage, so when I finally saw this in May, I just loved this color. I thought it was so pretty. So I just used the Pretty Label punch. I just punched that out right there in the center. And then let's go ahead and adhere this panel to my Whisper White. This is just a half size of a piece of regular Whisper White cardstock, so this is just 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm just going to adhere this to the back, put snail on the back, and I'm just going to leave a really thin border, probably like 1/8 of an inch, looking at the top and bottom, making sure that it's straight, or the top and the left side, I should say. Okay, I'm left-handed, so that's why I kind of always go off to the left side. And then I'm just going to bring in my little trimmer here, and I'm just going to manually just trim off the bottom and the right side, trying to get it as even as possible. And this is all just by eyeballing. So if you want exact measurements, comment below and I'll do my best to give those to you. Let me cut off just a little bit more here on the bottom. There we go. So that was so much easier than trying to come up with those crazy, crazy dimensions that it would be for you. All right, so let's go ahead and tie our ribbon around. Usually I actually tie the ribbon all the way around, but because this ribbon is so pretty, I want to save it as much as possible. I don't want to waste it. So I'm kind of doing the little cheater method. So all I'm going to do is just put snail on the back side, and I'm just going to wrap these ends around. If you like, if you're a person that wants to save as much ribbon as possible, this is a great little hack. And I want that to be up a little bit higher. Maybe not that high. There we go. And so when you do this, you just want to make sure your ribbon is straight. You don't want to pull too tight, but you want it to be nice and snug. If you pull it too tight, then the paper will start to curl on the edges, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, there we go. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and pop this up with the foam adhesive strips. And I'm just going to, where's my scissors? I'm just going to line this all the way around the edges and then secure it in the middle. Put a little bit of foam tape here in the middle. That's where like all my extra pieces go. So now let's go ahead and make sure that I'm going to place this evenly on the front of the card. And if you don't press down too hard, you can actually lift up the tape, or lift up the panel, I should say, and it doesn't rip. Okay, and then now I'm going to do is just cut off a little bit ribbon, and then I'm just going to slide this underneath, and I'm tying this on the right side. I'm just going to do a simple knot, little square knot. so no one would ever know that you didn't tie this all the way around. And then we can just trim this off at an angle, the ends. And I'll fiddle with that some more because it's not laying down exactly the way I want it to. And now for these, I will use dimensionals for this label. And I'm just going to put a couple of dimensionals at the top and at the bottom. And then that's just going to kind of overlap the ribbon. And then we'll just use snail to adhere this on the inside of the card, and then I'll show you, or I'll tell you how I did the envelope flap. So like I said, this just adds just a simple fun detail that ties in the front of the card with the little stems. Now what I did for the envelope flap, let me just bring that in. I'm using the exact same stamp, but I stamped this in Seaside Spray, and I stamped this off once. And then, so this is light enough if you like to write your return address on the back of the envelope instead of up here in the top left corner. This is light enough where you will be able to read your writing and shouldn't have any problem going through the mail. So again, this is the very simple Free as a Bird stamp set, the card that I created using Seaside Spray, one of our brand new in colors, and then the really pretty new designer series paper in Petal Pink. Let me show you the stamp set again if you haven't seen it. Just lovely, some really pretty sentiments that you can choose. Beautiful. I've seen cards that have people have used Stampin' Blends and colored. The designer series paper that matches this is absolutely gorgeous, so you can't go wrong with this stamp set and accessories that go along with it. All right, guys, well, I hope you liked today's card. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you head on over to istampin.com to read about all of the fun promotions that are going on this month. Bonus Days is going on right now through the end of the month, and then also you can find all about Stampin' Anonymous tutorials. All right, guys, see you later. Bye.